What up, homies? Oh, it's Friday morning, and you know what that means, right? You know what that means, right? Got a hair salon appointment today, so I can look good for all you goofs on YouTube that are shallow and care about looks, while you sit at home and collect your tiny checks. It's come to my attention that the 99% of the viewers on YouTube during the day don't have jobs. Oh, is this a problem? Soon, most of you, the people that watch this show today who don't have jobs, by next year, you won't have internet. The world is squeezing you into a pit, into a hole. Right now, you may be barely hanging on by a thread, but I can assure you, next year you won't be. The world has tightened its grasp, and it's become harder to make a living on the internet as well as in your community. Soon you won't even be able to rent a house. You'll have to live with other people in an apartment, and you will have cots all throughout the apartment, and it'll be in a building in a less it'll be in a sketchy area, you know what I'm saying. So now that that's out of the way, I just wanted to let people know, like, what you're up to has got you nowhere in life. So, and if you're old right now and you spent most of your life sitting down on the couch trying to hang on, in 5 or 10 years the world will eat you up whole, guaranteed. Because as I said, people who are younger that are capable of making a living won't have one, right? You're gonna need land. And it's not easy to get land. Done. And then there's those people who do have jobs, but you spend outside of your limits. And what is outside of your limits? Any spending at all is outside of your limits, unless you make $1 million a year. Then spend what you want. But just, within reason again. But people don't realize that the world changed, right? Whatever debt you're carrying, it's going to add up 10 times faster now because the rates are so much higher, right? And if you're not paying twice as much now, you're not going to get anywhere now. So when I said to you all 2 years ago, I said, tighten your belts as tight as they go. Please cancel your subscriptions to any purchasing site where you know you are incapable of controlling your spending, right? I said this to you all. And I did it. When was the last time you saw me show something cool on the show? Name a time you saw something cool on the show. It's been a long time since I showed, a very long time. I've spent no money on myself for at least 16 months. I'm wearing the same clothes from 17 years ago. So I'm not worried about what you guys are worried about, because I don't spend like you guys, right? I choose not to live my life wasting critical dollars that I'm gonna need in the next 5 years to start a business. Everything that I have bought will go towards my business. So it's called overhead costs. I've already eaten up half of my overhead costs. Half of all things I need to start my business, I already own. And we're not talking about a freaking lemonade stand or a little, this ain't a little $2,000 commercial sprayer. We're talking about a business that feeds families for life, where a family's name can sit on this business forever. So most of you don't think like that, right? You only worry about yourself. Oh, this is my pension. My pension. Do you not have family? Do you have family? So you make them, but when it comes time to help them, they're on their own. Oh, I see how it is. Okay. Well, you only help the men in your family. Oh, I see how it is. Okay. Or the women, like whatever it is. I know both sides. Both sides help. Mothers help daughters, and fathers usually always help sons. I don't know why, but the struggles are no different for either sex. I mean, women struggle harder than men most of the time with equal pay, but women sometimes have other abilities to get between a man's wallet and that other men don't have, right? And of course, there are men who are into other men. I'm not, so I've never had this ability to schmooze over my bosses who are all men. I've never had a woman as a boss, ever in my life. And it's not because I didn't want one. There's just no women who are bosses in the professions I've chosen. None. I've never even heard of one in all the job sites I've ever been to. So moving on. A lot of people take me for granted. Not so much YouTubers. People I've come in contact with in my time. Some of them, as soon as the door closes, as soon as my back's turned, you talk about me, eh? And you're sad sacks, Your entirety is a sad sack. I really don't want to hang around with hardly anybody anymore due to that, for that specific reason. Not only do I not trust anyone, but I also know that trust comes at a price. When you begin to trust someone, you allow them into your world, and you allow them to backstab you freely and willingly whenever they want. There are a lot of old women who can't keep their mouth shut, right? And then there's a lot of old men married to old women that, again, this is the situation and the scenario put before us. Most of you have never heard this term. It's called loose lips sink ships. And I spent my life understanding that family is important, but I've never covered up for family. Anytime a family member or someone I knew who was a friend of a family member who did wrong to children or stole or, these things are awful. Thieves and children abusers are the worst, right? But what happens when someone you care about doesn't say anything and there's like abuse right in front of you, right? So I grew up in the 80s where this shit was prevalent everywhere. It was in your face almost daily. And some people were just cowards. Others were ruled over with an iron fist. But now we're in 2023 and still some of this behavior persists and continues because it was never squashed and stomped out in the 80s, right? These people never went to jail to learn and be reformed, right? Whether you're a kitty toucher or you can't keep your hands off little kids, you can't help but touching and diddling little kids like a creep with a white van. That says a lot about your character. When you can't keep your hands to yourself, it shows me that you're a diddler. And diddlers are real. Pug One used to make videos about diddlers, right? And the stuff I've seen in my life is enough to creep out the entire YouTube community at once. I grew up in an environment that, it was unsavory. But then I grew up, right? I did not put myself or surround myself with people who were evil, conniving. I can't stand thieves. Thieves are like my number one. And when someone steals from me, you're immediately put on a checklist that says, I'm gonna get you. You're never gonna know when. But you lied. I confronted you. You said, no, you didn't. You lied. There's no helping you now. One day when you least expect it, I can assure you, I will take everything from you all at once. So, to all you future thieves, let this be a learning lesson for you that you don't think that you're too smart for me. There's something you don't understand that I have access to. And that would be records. That would be forms of communication that you can't stop me from seeing because I've already seen it. So, you don't understand who I am and the people that I'm friends with, who I do call friends, right? I've never mentioned them. Do you know why that is? Do you know why that is? I keep my friends close. I'm not a backstabber. I'm not conniving. And loose lips sink ships, right? And this dude's driving the second Titanic. Did you know there was 2 Titanics? And the first Titanic was used as an insurance scam? Also to off a lot of his competition. Did you know there was some really prominent people who didn't board this master cruise, this once-in-a-lifetime cruise, for $25,000 a ticket? Do you know how much money that was back then? That was more money than 50 families could earn slaving away back then. But the richest men in the world didn't board that boat. Do you want to know why? Because they offed their competition that day. That's a true story. So they bought tickets and never boarded. Isn't that interesting? And now you eat his chocolate bars. And now you eat his chocolate bars. All over the U.S. From Pennsylvania to Washington. You'll be chewing on his chocolate bars. I wonder what kind of police work went on back in the day. That they were like, so, Mr. Henry bought a $25,000 ticket to board the Titanic and never boarded the Titanic? So, you can quickly see that people who got a heads up or knew that this boat was destined for failure just for who got on the boat. Right? And this is this type of guise would be worded as it's an operation. This would be an ops, right? So you have people involved, communication. The vessel is going to sink at midnight. Make sure you're not on the boat. Everybody else has boarded already. We'll say your plane was delayed. We'll make up some story, you know? But no police work was ever done, right? So it just shows you that the people who run everything also control the police. How fair is this world? You know? When lawyers can be pedophiles here in Winnipeg, literally pedophiles touching children and then apparently offing themselves in a hotel room here in Winnipeg in the last 12 months. And we don't even get to find out about the investigation for all those children, right? All those children should be able to sue the family and recoup all that lawyer's money, and it should all go to the children that he raped. Ruin their lives, their mental. When you rape someone, when you pin someone down and rape them, you forever change their mental state. Forever. It'd be like pinning someone down and punching them in the face over and over. It leaves trauma. But police in Winnipeg didn't really do anything. There was no talk of who was involved, how many children. They didn't follow up to see who else was hurt by this creepy hockey coach turned lawyer. Like, what the fuck? And this is just one prime example of what we have all over this country. And this is supposed to be a first world country that protects children. Over 100 women and children drowned. A Nigerian vessel with migrants on it, a migrant vessel they call it, sunk, and they all drowned and died. Just underneath that thread this morning was 6 other ships all over Madagascar, Nicaragua, all these places within the last day or two. Migrants have drowned. The ships have sank and the migrants drowned. So you're telling me all these governments that keep such close tabs on all of us allowed these people to just... You should see the picture of the boat. There are babies on top of the boat, and the boat is leaning like big time as it leaves the shore, the harbor. Are you telling me that this is the way? This is the way the world is turning? Anybody who isn't making your country money, paying taxes, is offed. Is this the way? So if you don't think that this is about control and about money, we've already known this is about money. But more so and moreover, it's about controlling your mind, your ability to move, which is everything. Once they control your movement and your mind, you are a robot. So tread lightly and give up. Do not obey. When you obey some old man that has a directive given to him by the richest guy in Germany, that isn't in your best interest. That is in the best interest of the bankers, who then feed the funnel of the money to the police and have a police bank and all this and give bonuses down at the cop shop for when they make enough arrests. Filling the jail cells with people who, if you still think in this day and age cannabis is a crime, you're crazier than the people drinking alcohol in your family every day. Because it's not the cannabis that's a crime, it's the alcohol. I want you to look around at all the people in North America who have committed crimes and ask yourself how many of them were baked. And then ask yourself how many people in your family committed a crime while they were hammered. And then you ask yourself if this isn't about controlling what you use, because one of them makes you more, one of them makes you smarter, one of them wakes you up, and the other one makes you dumb and a drone. Do you know what a drone is? It's a bot that is controlled by someone else. A drone. Did you ever think of that? This world is run by the most evil men that could possibly exist. This world is run by the most evil men that have ever existed. But what are you doing about it? Do you sit there and watch all their 5-second videos to just get dumber? As I grow and plant more, and I'm trying to understand why they hated on cannabis so much. And one thing keeps ringing back to me, echoing, and that's that I'm not dumb like all the people in a bar. I have feelings for trees, for rocks, for ants, where people in the bar are numb and don't even have feelings for their own wives. They'll go and cheat on their wife in that bar with that alcohol in that moment. Now you ask yourself, how smart is someone if they can cheat on their spouse knowingly that they're intoxicated and under the influence, but yet they still do it? And it's not once, they've done it for years. You're telling me that person is ethically, you should want that person around your children? So that every once in a while they can slide in little, it's almost like a grooming thing with people that are into this type of lifestyle. Where you kind of put it out there like, you know, I've done this a couple times. And it's like, what? Gross me right out like you don't even know. Right out. So, next time you feel the need to pretend like you're better than others, just remember, I already know what type of person you are. Based on what you drink. Based on what comes out of your mouth in the first 10 seconds you talk. If you're worried about somebody's outer looks, instantly, it shows you're more shallow than shallow. I have posed questions lately that I don't care about who looks like what or aging and this and that. Most people around me have always mentioned another person's looks, whether it be an actress, a movie star, your neighbor, my best friend. They'll mention it. They're like, oh, whatever, gaining weight. Oh, you got zits on your face. Who starts a conversation with, oh, that's a big zit you got there? You know, you are projecting your inconsistencies, your inconveniences, your shallow way of life that you're sad about, because when you look at your life and when you look at yourself in the mirror, you cry. You know, when you're naked in front of the mirror, you cry. That's horrible. You should love yourself any way you look. But when you worry about the way somebody else looks, it shows a much bigger problem that you've never dealt with. Now think if you're over 50 and you talk like this. It means your entire life you've never figured out how to be real, how to be proper. And again, that says a lot about your character, which is a 0. You have none. There are babies with more couth than you. They haven't even learned to talk yet. So, if you're shallow, you cheat on people, all you can do is, suck to get a raise. You're the biggest losers on the planet. And you're fake. Fake people don't deserve the riches of this earth. And the riches of this earth, by far, guaranteed, is the information you can collect and harvest around you. So that you don't have to be reliant or controlled by others on a daily basis. You can wake up and manage yourself. Not be told what to do. Go get this done. Make sure you do this. Are you fucking kidding me? Bro, are you kidding me? So I got a lot of things I'm doing today. I won't be able to do as much as I wanted to on YouTube today, but I'll still do more than I have this past week. I'm not really totally looking forward to it, as I'm kind of discouraged with YouTube. Right now, it happens, you know. The government of Canada has fucked with the algorithm yet again. And so I have to sue the government of Canada, Google Canada, and then wherever Google is based out of, Google India, because they have definitely, Google India has definitely tampered with my account. So, and I mean, Google India, there's going to be class action lawsuits for every single user of YouTube, because you have a button at Google that you use, it's called God mode, and you can launch right into my YouTube channel, into my studio, and you can edit my videos, you can edit my titles, you can delete my tags, which has all been done to my channel already. See, Google Canada, Google are run by ABC groups, and ABC groups, as you know, are evil. They pose themselves as good people, but anytime there's an election, these groups come out in droves to control the views. They control what you watch. And most of you don't understand how this is done. I'll explain it to you. The more likes a video gets, the more of a video is seen throughout YouTube, right? So all Google has to do is start up their Drove ABC farm. It's called a click farm. And they will push a video to the top of any page at any time, because they are the ones in control of YouTube, right? So wouldn't it be crazy if Sony Music had the most, how do I word this so you understand? Because this is seriously way above most of your entireties. Like, most of you will never understand what's actually happening. Google is the biggest computer app in the world. It has the most users on its interface in the world. Can you imagine if Sony Music, which was based out of, I'm just going to name a place, China, wherever Sony is, I don't know. This is just hypothetical. I'm just saying a place out of the blue. And China had 3 billion users who were all affiliated with Sony. There, I've done it. Now, what happens is, when Sony puts out a memo, when Sony shares a post about who is going to be the next president of the United States, they can have their post get 3 billion likes, because there's 3 billion, I explained that before this. So they have 3 billion likes, push that thing right to the top. Now you have what is called monkey see, monkey do. This follows the way of thinking of the mob mentality, okay? Mob mentality is jump on a bandwagon and shit down somebody's throat you've never met before, and you don't even know why you're shitting on them. That's mob mentality. Rednecks are infamous for this. They created what is called the Ku Klux Klan with a mob mentality. So you can see how effective mob mentality is, because the Ku Klux Klan still exists to this day, yet most countries have deemed the Ku Klux Klan horrible people, if that's a way of putting it. I don't think it's illegal to be a Ku Klux Klan member, which to me it makes no sense. How one of the most evil organizations who kills a type of person based on their color, how do we allow that in our society? Well, you got to think of it like this. Wouldn't that be a great way of controlling a large populace of people and quieting them if they ever spoke out? Well, you take the Ku Klux Klan, those 3 letters, and you change it to a C, whatever letter is after H, and then the first letter of the alphabet. And what you have now is a group that can control any race at any time, controlled by the puppet masters who are the shadow govs. Period. So when you think about control, just remember that who you work for, what you do on a daily basis, you've given up your children's freedoms. You've given up your mother's freedoms. You've given up any freedoms of your friends because you thought it was best to take a paycheck over doing the right thing, over standing up against the evil empires that exist around the world. And they are empires. They are empires. So look around you and see that the world is run by hate-filled evil men who constantly snuff out anybody who says anything bad about them. The truth, they say the truth will set you free. The truth could also have you killed, right? These old men have become so powerful. One day, your truck could be hit by a semi-truck, right? So you have to understand, in order to speak out, you have to have powerful friends or be very powerful you yourself, of which I am both, and have very powerful friends as well. It's kind of funny though. Sometimes people are like, yeah, you don't know. Seriously, if you knew the kind of people that I knew, it's like, it'd be like, I know G.I. Joe. If you want to know the truth, I know G.I. Joe. That's kind of all I can tell you. But, and G.I. Joe loves me. G.I. Joe is one of my best friends. G.I. Joe happens to be in charge of a large group of people here in Canada. They also love me, right? So you see what's going on here is there's a group of men who protect people in more ways than they will ever be given credit for. And you have to understand, G.I. Joe fears nothing. And he tells me everything, so just imagine the power G.I. Joe and a civilian like me have. The world changed overnight, and most of you are left behind because you don't know a G.I. Joe. You've never trained, you've never worked out every day. Did you run 10 years down a beach every single day? Then you're not ready, You're not ready to take on evil as it stands before you daily. This is why real men stick up for anybody, anywhere, anytime. And cowards continuously cower at any given second. They tuck tail and run. They start shaking. Their hands start shaking and they start vibrating like your wife's dildo.